So I was able to get one, the Omega MoonSwatch. This is the mission to Saturn. I waited in line for about 45 minutes and I was able to get one on a restock here in New York. So they are restocking these. I did not pay over retail. I highly recommend you do not pay over retail for this watch. We're going to talk about specs. We're going to talk about why you should not pay over retail for this. There's a lot of good reasons why you should not. I think it's a very cool collaboration. I do like the watch. We're going to talk about it right now. So, as I mentioned in the intro, this is the Omega MoonSwatch mission to Saturn. I did not pay over retail for it, and I'm glad I didn't. A lot of people were looking online or are looking online at places like StockX and eBay, and they're seeing these sell for thousands of dollars. There's an instance of this, not this exact model, but the Mission to the Moon, selling for over $7,000. I'm not sure why anybody would ever do that. Now let's take a look at the specs with you very quickly. Then we're going to talk about the sort of fit, finish, and quality. And then I want to talk about how it could fit into almost anyone's collection and why. So let's get into it. So I'm going to try and avoid using the word cheap in this video because I don't think this is a cheap watch. In fact, I think for the price that you're paying, you're getting a pretty decent watch. The materials that they're using, maybe not the best, but the design and sort of the effort that they've put behind this design, I think is really good, and they're obviously borrowing very heavily from the Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch, which is a very popular watch, and the case of this watch is essentially exactly the same. The packaging is on the inexpensive side, let's say. There is just a sleeve here. The sleeve has a bunch of information about the planet that you are unboxing, so this is Saturn, so it gives you some information there. They also give you information on the other models. So obviously they are all inspired by a heavenly body. So the sun, you also get Pluto, which is really a satellite, and then the rest of our planets. Pretty cool inspiration behind all of these. And as I said, the packaging is inexpensive, but it's decent. And you can see here, it's just a cardboard box. When you pull this up, the whole thing sort of pulls up. So there's like a little cardboard insert in there. You get a pamphlet on all the watches, and then you get warranty information and stuff like that right there. That's it. So this is the mission to Saturn. They're calling this a taupe color. I think it's more of a brown. To be honest, I don't know if I know the difference between taupe and brown, but this gets a really nice brown sort of tan dial, and then you get sort of a brown chapter ring. The strap is also in brown. This is the Velcro strap that they're giving you with all of these watches, and the Velcro strap, I have to say, is probably the worst part of this watch, just from a fit and finish sort of aspect. Otherwise, I think it's a good looking strap. It's very similar to what you would get looks wise from the Speedmaster Professional. But it's definitely not on par quality-wise and comfort-wise especially. The chronograph on mine is misaligned. So this is something that I think a lot of people are experiencing. You can see there, mine is slightly misaligned. However, that's not always the case. So when I start the chronograph and restart it, sometimes it lines up, sometimes it doesn't. So there have been a few times where it has lined up, and there has been a few times where it has not. This gets sub-registers. One of those sub-registers is actually Saturn there below or above the 6 o'clock position. And then, of course, this is a quartz chronograph. It gets an ETA quartz movement. These are Swiss-made, and they are in a bio-ceramic case. So since it is a quartz watch, you're getting the quartz layout of a chronograph. So you're getting this sort of spread out across the dial chronograph layout. It's not a mecha quartz. It's not mimicking an automatic quartz or even a Valjoux sort of 7750 setup. So this is basically a traditional quartz movement that's been used by Swatch for a very, very long time. You get co-branding, so it says Omega and Swatch on here. It also says Speedmaster, which is pretty cool because this is almost a one-for-one case as a Speedmaster. And then it says MoonSwatch there at around the 3 o'clock. That is it. And then there's other things that are going on the dial here, but these are things that you would find on a Speedmaster already. You know, you have sort of that stepped dial, you have these stepped registers, That looks really good. They also did a very good job with the hands on here. You have white hands. Those are filled with lume, and I believe you get lume on the indices as well. Second hand is in a green color, I believe. It's sort of a green color, to my eye at least. Pushers, crown. Crown is actually signed, which is cool, and it has Omega and Swatch on there. And then there is an S in the crystal. Now the crystal is a acrylic crystal. It is not a hexalite crystal. This will scratch very easily. If you are familiar with the brand, with Swatch, these scratch very easily from Swatch. But again, just like an acrylic crystal or any acrylic crystal or hexalite crystal, but you could buff them out with a little bit of polywatch and it would be fine. So let's do some measurements very quickly. This is very, very similar to an Omega Speedmaster. So it's 13 millimeters thick, 13.1 millimeters thick. The case construction is basically all one piece. So the case back, the case itself, and the actual little hatch here. Those are the only two parts. So the hatch is just a little Saturn, obviously, and it just says Mission to Saturn. I'll do a close-up so you guys can see that. That pops off, but everything else is one piece. Of course, the pushers and the crown also separate pieces, but not many pieces to the case. 13 millimeters there. Does get spring bars, so you can put this on other straps, and I'll do that so I could show you guys. Maybe I'll throw some on my Instagram when I change the strap up. 47.1 millimeter lug to lug. The crown, 6.4 millimeters, and then I believe it's 42 millimeters, spot on, but let's do the bezel first. 39.5, and then with those crown guards, it is 41.8 millimeters, so essentially the exact same size as the Speedmaster Moonwatch. Quality-wise, does this feel like a Moonwatch? No. This does not feel like stainless steel in your hands. Obviously, it is made out of bioceramic, or what is called bioceramic. Bioceramic is 3/4 ceramic and 1/4 castor oil, which essentially means that this is a 1/4 plastic watch. However, if I had to be really honest about it, it does not feel like it's 1/4 plastic. It feels like it's 3/4 plastic and 1/4 ceramic. It is very light. It's 29 grams. That's on this strap. So it is very, very light. If I have to liken it to anything, I would say it's almost like forged carbon, maybe even a little bit lighter than forged carbon, which is already very, very light. This is a quartz movement. Everything here lends to it being very, very light. Not a bad thing, and the wrist presence feels like a Speedmaster on your wrist. Is this a cheap watch? Absolutely not. I don't think it's a cheap watch. Will it replace a Speedmaster? Absolutely not. This is not going to replace your Speedmaster. This is a fun watch. I'm not going to call it a toy because it works like a watch. It looks like a Speedmaster, especially if you get something like the Mission to the Moon version. That one looks very much like a Speedmaster Pro. And there are a few versions that do look like that. Then there are a few versions that look like toys, like the Sun or Venus. They're bright colors, and obviously they're going for that toy watch look. So will it last a lifetime? The answer is no. However, this is a great watch for someone who's just getting into watches. Maybe it's a great watch for even a collector. Am I disappointed in the quality for the $280? No. Why? Because of the design. The design is a Speedmaster Pro. It looks very much like a Speedmaster Pro. In your hands, it doesn't feel like one, but on your wrist, it does. Speaking of which, let me throw it on my wrist, and then we will do a quick lume shot. Before I do, today I have on my Romain Jerome. This is new to me. This is a new watch, actually. It was a new old stock. These were limited editions of 99 watches. All titanium, very interesting watch. This is a spacecraft inspired by, obviously, spaceships and Star Trek and things like that, Darth Vader, a few other things. Very, very cool watch. Jump hour, linear, retrograde watch, which is awesome as well. There you go. So I think one of the first things I will do is replace this strap. I might even replace it with an Omega strap. This gets spring bars. It's a 20 millimeter lug width. So you could replace this with basically any Omega strap that comes in 20 millimeters, and there are plenty. I think it's really not a bad proposition for what you're getting. The one problem is, of course, is on the strap at least, is this little area right here where it actually loops. And this is also made out of bioceramic, so essentially plastic It feels like plastic, more like plastic than it does ceramic. It sort of loops out way further than my wrist. You can see that. It looks kind of odd, and it just juts out over here. I'm not sure over time if that will break in. I'm sure over time this will wear off. The Speedmaster and Mission to Saturn, Moonwatch, all of that, that's going to wear off over time. Unfortunately, you know, with use, you sort of bend this strap. It's made out of a material. It's sort of a fabric, and then it is stitched. It's not really the highest quality. It's stiff, as I mentioned. But again, considering that this is a $260 watch, it is Swiss made. I think this is a pretty good package that they've given you. I would replace the strap. So why shouldn't you pay over retail for this watch? The very simple reason is that it's not worth over $260. I say it's worth $260, but it's definitely not worth over that price. Flippers are selling these for thousands of dollars. Some people could go out and buy a Speedmaster Pro for the price they are actually paying for a Swatch Speedmaster. Don't do it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, very quickly, let's do a lume shot and then wrap up the video. All right, the lume is not too crazy. It's not bad. The hands are more liberally applied than the painted on indices. I think we sort of expected that. It's not a lume killer here, but it's really not that bad. I have to say one other thing. I was in line with a gentleman by the name of JM when I was waiting for this watch. Like I said, it was very cold out. I did wait for about 45 minutes. It was raining, so it wasn't really a pleasant wait. However, he was a very nice guy who's actually a flipper. So he was getting his third watch of the day, and all three of those watches he was flipping. And like I said, he was a nice guy. He wasn't really into watches. He's more into sneakers, and I think he was sort of fueling his sneaker habit. But a really nice guy, and not all flippers are bad people. This guy was just sort of riding the wave. He got caught up in it, and now he's flipping some of these watches. Again, flippers are people. I flip watches from time to time. Do I plan on flipping this? Probably not. I think I'm going to be lending this out to other YouTube channels so they can get their hands on it, because these are kind of hard to get for some people right now, but eventually they will not be very hard. And I think it was Waco who actually made a really good analogy of this watch. This is sort of like when a high-end brand do a collaboration with H&M or another brand like The Gap, when Yeezy and Gap do a collaboration. So if you wanted to buy a Yeezy shirt, maybe that would cost you $300 or $400. He now sells those through The Gap, and you can pay $80 for it. Now, I know the difference in price is much bigger than a Speedmaster Pro versus a MoonSwatch, but it's a good analogy because obviously there is sort of high-end watchmaking, and then this is sort of fund-end watchmaking. Is it an Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch? No. Are you even wearing an Omega? Technically, no. This is really not made by Omega. It's made by Swatch. So you're getting a plasticky watch. I'm not going to call it plastic because it's not 100% plastic, but essentially it feels like a plastic ceramic watch, not a ceramic plastic watch. And it wears like one. Keep that in mind, and you will be very happy with your purchase. I definitely recommend buying this if you are a seasoned collector or just starting out, especially if you're just starting out. And then it's a gateway into watch collecting. Once you get a little bit of taste of really cool watches like this, it really does open the floodgates. And that's why I think this is a pretty cool watch and an important watch. And it does deserve the hype that it's gotten. I don't think they handled it all that great, but it does deserve that hype. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You can see the lume pretty much faded away except for on the hands. Like I said, add a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.